This podcast is brought to you by Cash App, the easy way to send, spend, save, and invest with friends. Does everyone in your friends group have a cash tag? That's money. And because Cash App connects you effortlessly with your friends and your finances, I would like to take this moment to shout out all the friends who are on Cash App. Shout out to the friend whose cash tag is learning to bake, and to the one who helped you take out your AC out of your window. A big shout out to the friend who owes you $38. Shout out to the friend who will only pay you back in Bitcoin, and the one who always suggests theme restaurants. And shout out to Tommy, who I love watching squirm every time I mention his love for the Denver Nuggets.
And the new one who recently started working in real estate and now says location, location all the time. Shout out to the friend who withholds repayment until you finally agree. We said Leo last time, so we're going to say Jay-Z is the greatest of all time. And the one who can't dance. Shout out to the friend who sends GIF reactions entirely too much for anyone's taste. And the one who thinks you're related. And to the friend who drew their cat on their custom cash card. Shout out to you, sir.
Cash App is the easy way for you and all your friends to enjoy sending, spending, saving, investing, splitting, tipping, donating, gifting, or just pressing buttons to look busy, all with the #1 finance app in the App Store. That's money, that's Cash App. Download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store today to create your own cash tag. Welcome to The Old Man of the Three with JJ Redick and Tommy Alter, presented by Cash App and brought to you by 342 Productions. This is episode 137, Derrick White and Mina Kimes. Tommy, this is just a fantastic episode. Derrick has one of my favorite stories, backstories in the NBA, how he got here. We get into all the details. And Mina is just one of the greatest drafters that we have. I have one comment on the draft.
Please.
One comment.
Please make the comment.
It was a big moment on the podcast. Jason and I talked about this. For me, it's a top 5 moment. We actually got to peel back a few layers of the onion.
Oh, that's the moment?
That is Tommy Alter.
That's the moment. I think Mina, we're not going to spoil anything. I think Mina had a pick in there that is maybe the best pick that has been made on these drafts so far that Jason was not necessarily a fan of, but that's partially what made it better.
Look, I think what's interesting about this particular draft is that I admitted from the outset that all of my picks were projections. They were all projections of my own ego and insecurities. You, however, made 2 choices that really, it revealed a lot. That's all I'm going to say.
I guess we'll see.
Derrick, by the way, we mentioned this at the beginning. I did a little more research. He was originally going to go play basketball at a school called Johnson & Wales in Denver, Colorado. So Johnson & Wales, they have a bunch of campuses all over the country. They're based out of Providence, Rhode Island. It's primarily a culinary and hospitality college.
Yep.
And the Denver campus has since shut down.
And he was going to pay his way there.
Yes.
He was going to put the guy who's now starting for the best offense in NBA history was going to pay his way onto a culinary school's basketball team.
We get very lucky on this show that we get to interview some fantastic guests week to week. There's a great variety. We've had superstars on. We've had rising stars on. I always like hearing from great role players. Derrick, I was a role player, and watching him play and how he has seamlessly fit into this Boston Celtics team since being traded at the deadline last year, it's been really cool to watch. Tommy, I actually went to the game Sunday night against Brooklyn. Just so impressed by their team. Jalen took over early. Tatum closed it out late. Over the last 7 games, Jaylen Brown is averaging 30 a game, 7.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 54% from the field. Tatum's averaging 32 points a game, 10 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 49% from the field. I feel like those 2 guys, that duo has just completely figured out how to play within that system, how to play together, when to take over. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
So my question for you, and we talk about this with Derrick a little bit. We've talked about it a decent amount on the show already, but this team offensively is on a historic pace. Their offensive rating now is 120. The next highest in the league is Phoenix, which is 117. What is different about them this year from last year? Because it's pretty similar personnel. Why have they been able to turn what was a very good offense, obviously a team that made the NBA Finals, into a team that is on this like insane run right now?
It's a great question. I want to note one thing about their offense, and that is everyone, including myself, including you, including everyone at ESPN, all last year throughout the end of the regular season from January on when they made their turnaround, all throughout the playoffs. Everyone talked about their defense. Their defense was awesome. It ended up being number one in the league, and from January on was just spectacular. It's important to note, they had 120 offensive rating in the regular season from January on. So these guys had sort of figured it out.
Yeah.
Here's where I see a difference between how they're playing right now and the playoffs. It comes down to their weaknesses in the playoffs, to me, were based on decision making. And right now they're making quicker decisions. I think the spacing has been a lot better. I think they do a great job of making that next pass. It's something that Steve Kerr talks all the time about with the Golden State Warriors. It's the ball movement breaks down a defense. It gets the defense into rotation. They obviously have guys that can break down the defense at the point of attack. But then those decision makings out of that breakdown have just been so good this year. They're number one or number two. They've kind of been rotating with Golden State in terms of three-point attempts, number one in the league to number two in the league. Three-point makes, number one, number two. They've been top three all season in percentage. They're just getting good shots out of that decision-making. And for me, that's the difference between right now and what we saw at times in the playoffs, where they at times went really ISO heavy, not a lot of ball movement, not a lot of player movement, and when driving into a crowd, didn't make great decisions. Right now, it's very unselfish. Actually, I have a great segue going back to the Warriors on this. There was an article, Marcus Thompson from The Athletic wrote this article about Steph and how playing with Steph has its own challenges. And Steph has this quote in there about, you just have to trust the chaos, that eventually the ball will come back to you and the right play will just happen if you trust the chaos. And watching them all the time on TV and getting to see them play on Sunday night, that's what they're doing.
So do you think we've talked about, since they went on this run last year, we've talked about their flexibility on defense and their ability with guys like Al to basically switch 1 through 5 and Williams when he's playing. Do you think that's maybe not underrated at this point, because I think everyone realizes how good this offense is, but it's a similar thing for them offensively when you have these guys that can play multiple positions all the time and everyone can shoot, that basically everyone, no matter their size and no matter their sort of quote unquote position, is basically running the same thing all the time, which is not the case with basically the rest of the league.
Right. The lineup and the roster that they've put together and the patience that they've had. They think about the times over the last 5 years where they could have swung and used Jaylen Brown or used Marcus Smart and made a trade. Again, it goes back to just the roster all fitting together. It's a great point you make, Tommy. The roster fits together. These are highly skilled, athletic players that play hard night to night. You've got a great instigator in Marcus Smart. And to me, they are the favorites right now. They have looked like the best team in basketball. I love the Milwaukee Bucks as well. It'd be interesting to see. Chris Paul supposedly is going to be back in the lineup tonight for his first game back after a lengthy layoff with a heel injury. And most people probably agree with me on that, including DraftKings Sportsbook. And it's interesting. There's a bunch of futures on DraftKings right now. I'll go through them. NBA Finals champ. The Boston Celtics are the favorites. Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics are the favorites. Most regular season wins, favorites. Jayson Tatum for MVP, favorite. Joe Mazzulla, who we haven't even mentioned, Coach of the Year. Right now, he's the favorite. Malcolm Brogdon, by the way, we didn't mention him. We've talked about him previously when we brought up the Celtics on a previous episode. He's been fantastic. He's third right now in odds. And personally, I think he could end up being the sixth man because they're going to have such a high win total, and his play has been so solid.
So all of these futures seem, like they make sense. They seem like pretty safe bets at this point. My one question for you, if there's any concern, I think is there has been a little bit of a drop off defensively. They're 15th in defensive rating right now. They were number 1 last year, and Missoula's talked about it a bunch. It's not like they're pretending like this isn't the case. Is there any concern for you there, or is that something you think is just going to get worked out as the season goes along and as Williams comes back?
I don't have a concern on that end. To me, when you have the roster they have, the familiarity with each other, and the point of reference, that's the point here. There's a point of reference for how good that group's defense can be. They know it. Rob Williams will certainly help. They are trending in the right direction. They've been primarily number one in offense the entire season. They were low to mid 20s for a large portion of the beginning of the early season. The fact that they're up to 15th shows that they are playing well and better on that end of the basketball. I talked about how they're able to break down the point of attack. They just don't have a lot of defenders. I don't know. That you can break down consistently at the point of attack. Even going against guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they did double Kevin at times, especially on post-ups, but they have guys that can stay in front and contest. And so a lot of teams, even with 2 or 3 great defenders, will have those weak points. They just don't have it.
Can we shout out my boy real quick?
Aaron Gordon?
No. My boy Sam.
Inky?
I feel like you should love him. He is Hauser. He's a great story.
My next guest was Sam Koppelman.
Maybe we will have him on the show at some point. But that's a good example of somebody who didn't play last year. Wasn't in the conversation with this team last year, and was forced in part because of the Gallinari injury. It's actually interesting to think about, if he was healthy, where this offense would be even then, which is crazy to sort of even consider. But that's a good example of somebody who's been thrown into a role and just completely probably exceeded everybody's expectations besides maybe himself and some of the people on the player development.
He'd be an interesting guy to have on the podcast.
I think so too.
Maybe we can make that. We don't want to overdo the Celtics content.
And we have a couple other guys that we're going to have at some point who we have not had on, which are going to be exciting. But it's hard to find any real weaknesses with them right now.
Really like this team. Let's get to our conversation with Derrick White and stick around for a very fun draft with ESPN legend Mina Kimes. All right, let's welcome in Derrick White. Derrick, thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Lots to get into, particularly with the Celtics. You guys are playing great basketball right now. But we don't always start at the beginning. But I thought it would be appropriate, Tommy, to start at the beginning here because you have one of the most unique backstories in the NBA. I want to start with you as a high school player, lightly recruited, maybe not recruited at all. When did you sort of realize that you could be a college basketball player? Because you were 5'6" as a freshman, no 4-year college offers. I think your first interest was from Johnson & Wales, which is primarily known as a culinary school.
Yeah, so, I was tiny throughout all high school. I think I was like 90 pounds my freshman year. So I went to a school that was brand new. There was no upperclassmen, it was just freshmen. And we had the 8th grade and 7th grade in the school as well. So it was a tiny school, and I was small, just hooping for fun. I didn't really think much about it. And then over the years, I grew a little bit. And then my senior year, I was 6 feet, 150, and just nobody was interested in a 6 foot, 150 kid from Parker, Colorado. So I just hooping, and I thought I was doing pretty good. I was hoping to try to get some D2s because there's a lot of good D2s in Colorado, and just nobody was talking to me. So there was times where I was like, I'm just going to have to go to CU or CSU as just be a regular student. And but yeah, Johnson & Wales came, and then there was one junior college in Gillette, Wyoming, were the 2 that really talked to me. And then thankfully, Coach Culver got the job at UCCS and basically brought me on as a preferred walk-on. And I was like, it's an opportunity to play college, so I got to take it.
So you were that size, but were you killing people? Did you internally know that you could do this? You just externally were not going to get offers because of your size?
Yeah, my junior and senior year, I was pretty good. We had some D1s in Parker, like Corey Calver went to BYU and some other people. So I was playing well against them, so I knew I could play. I just was small, and that's what everybody saw was just my size, and they just didn't really give me a chance. So I felt like I could play. I just small guy that I'm gonna just keep working and getting better and better. But they're just like, he's a dime a dozen. Like everybody's like that in Colorado. So there was nothing really special about me.
You mentioned Coach Culver. Coach Culver was at Johnson and Wales. Then he got the job at Colorado Springs, and then he brought you on as a preferred walk-on. I read that you paid off student loans with your first NBA paycheck. Is that true?
Yeah. My freshman year, I took out a loan and I just had it the whole time. And then, my first paycheck, I paid it off, and I mean, that was pretty cool to do.
I think, off the top of my head, I can't think of another NBA player that had student loans. Generally speaking, NBA players are recruited.
It's the
they
opposite.
get walk-off. They get scholarships.
Or they just get a bag of cash to go to college.
Either way.
When did you start working with Marcus Mason?
I met Marcus when I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
6th grade, yep.
And you still work with him?
Yeah, still to this day.
Okay,
every time I'm back to Colorado.
Okay, I got to give Marcus Mason a shout out because I did the Nuggets-Lakers game about 6 weeks ago. It was my first game of the season for calling for ESPN, and I had reached out to a friend who connected me with Marcus, and Marcus basically got me on Cherry Hills, which is a prestigious top 100 course. It's in Denver, and
I heard
connected.
about that.
Yeah. So I got to give a shout out to Marcus. The decision to because you ended up killing at Colorado Springs. You're an All-American by your junior year, averaging 26 a game. The decision to then transfer to Colorado and sit out a year, which, I mean, again, this is wild to me to think of this route that you took. What made you want to leave? Was it to test sort of how good you really were?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like I'd done everything I could at the Division II level. I mean, we did so many firsts for the school history, and I was averaging crazy numbers, putting up crazy numbers in the NCAA tournament, and I was like, if I'm going to challenge myself, I got to do it. And, I mean, to have CU offer me a Pac-12 school, you can't really get much better than that. So as soon as I knew that CU was interested, I jumped at the opportunity and just had to go out there and go get it. So, I mean, I didn't think CU was interested, like maybe some mid-majors, but when CU was interested, I was like, I got to go challenge myself at the top, and I mean, to be my best chance to get to the NBA as well.
We talked about this with CJ McCollum, who is a little bit of a similar trajectory and everything like that in terms of size and growing into a player like this. He mentioned, I forget the exact word he used, but he basically was like, this put like a fire in his belly. Just put a chip on his shoulder of obviously nobody recruiting him, but it also just being the small kid who was killing everyone, who no one took seriously. Did you have that, and did you have that throughout college, or did it start to go away, or like what was your process there?
Yeah, I had my whole time at UCCS because, I mean, every school in the RMAC had an opportunity to recruit me. I mean, there was some schools that came and watched me play and was like, nah, he's not even good enough to walk on this team. So I had that every game. There was 14 teams in the RMX, so I wore 14. And I just wanted to go out there and kill them every time. And then when I transferred to CU, I just wanted to keep that chip on my shoulder and just know that ain't nobody ever really wanted me, and just to take advantage of this opportunity.
Do you know what imposter syndrome is?
Mm-mm.
You don't? Okay. Imposter syndrome is basically something that happens to a lot of high achievers, in that they think they know they're talented, they know they're good at whatever they do, but they think they're going to be found out as a fraud. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but you sort of fit the profile. Like Duncan Robinson, we talked with Duncan Robinson about this because I think he had. I had it to a degree. A lot of people have it. And you sort of mentioned one of the reasons you wanted to go to Colorado and leave was because you thought it was your best chance to get to the NBA. And I want to sort of get that context and that framework of your mindset in college, where you're not recruited, you're walking on a D2 school, and then within a few years, you're thinking about the NBA. How does that sort of happen so quickly?
I don't even know, because I mean, when I was in high school, people were like, you going to just go to UCCS for like a year or two and transfer? And I'm like, no, I'm going to be there for 4 years and just going to try to play out my 4 years there, maybe in 5 because I was supposed to redshirt. So I never even thought of the NBA. I never thought it was like an opportunity until like the end of my junior year. I used to coach the Chauncey Billups camps in Colorado, and he had Jamal Crawford in, and we were just playing at lunch, and I started playing well. I started getting more time because when I first started coaching, they didn't let me on the court, and then I started getting some more time playing well, and Chauncey was like, "You got you got a chance," and just hearing someone like that say that, it just gave me confidence and motivated me to just keep going and then to challenge myself. Because I mean, I'm kind of a shy kid. Don't really. That's everybody's like back. It's like you got to have more confidence in yourself. So once I hear that, you got to just go for it.
Did Jamal bust your ass?
He was on my team.
Oh, he was on your team.
Yeah, we were killing it. We killed it.
Jamal, I've said this a million times, but he was the one guy when I was playing that I was just like, basketball to him is a drug. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't leave his house really. I mean, Turner had to beg him just to come to Atlanta twice a month for him to talk on television. I mean, he is addicted to basketball. And I think he's like the ultimate pickup player. I think he's the ultimate pickup player. And that is that is so cool. Chauncey, by the way, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember very early in my career, I don't know if it was my second or third year, I was fighting to get in the rotation. And we were on a West Coast trip, and I had gotten to play like 5 games in a row. It was a nationally televised game. And over those 5 games, I'd averaged like 9 points. So now I'm like on the scouting report, but nobody's necessarily game planning for me. But it felt like a big deal to me. So that 6th game is in Denver. And I had to check into the game, and it's a free throw. And I'm back behind the 3-point line, and Chauncey came over to me. And we played USA basketball. I'd been on the training camp roster. And he came over to me and was like, "Yo, man, you're playing great. I'm really happy for you." Like, it's amazing to me. And that has stuck with me. And that was 14 years ago. That has stuck with me for 14 years. It's amazing just how someone like that, just giving you a little bit of encouragement, is empowering.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like Chauncey, he's the guy. He's the king of Park Hill. Like he's a guy in Colorado. Everybody that for hoops in Colorado is his cousin. Like everybody wants to be around Chauncey. So just to hear that from him, I mean, even just to talk to him was crazy for me. And I mean, I'm always thankful for him. And I mean, just the little things can take you to crazy places.
So you grew to 6'4". At what was it during your freshman year? Was it before? Like, what was the point where the spurt happened?
Yeah, it was like that summer right before my freshman year at UCCS.
This is a kind of a weird question, but like, did you like wake up one day and you're like, "Oh, I'm taller. I actually can. All these things I wanted to do, I actually can do now."
Kinda. I mean, I was playing a lot that summer, and like I was driving, and I started dunking, and like I had one dunk my whole high school career. So like that was something that I never could do or really thought about. So like when I started playing, I started doing a little bit more, finishing around the rim a little better, above the rim and stuff like that. So I grew. I mean, I hit puberty late, so I always kind of knew I would grow eventually. But I was just waiting for that time, and then when I hit that, and then I kind of hit my peak athletically at the same time. So it just kind of went with it and just kind of unlocked some new parts of my game.
What's your wingspan?
6'7.5".
You're 6'4.5", 6'4".
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the part that I get jealous of. You know, this is the part.
Always bitches about this. You're like, no one cares.
I care, Tommy. I care. I have a negative wingspan. You know?
I heard.
Yeah, you heard. Is it on the scouting report?
I was in the pre-draft house with Dylan Brooks, and he had a negative one in. He's like, the only one in the NBA is JJ Redick.
Yeah.
He's like, it's about to be 2, but.
I played for this guy, Joe Wolf. He was an assistant coach in Milwaukee. And so I was the 11th pick. I don't know what pick Joe was, but I think he was, lottery or first 14 or 15 picks. And he was drafted like, I don't know, he played Carolina. He was drafted in like 1986 or something. And I was the highest draft pick since him to have a negative wingspan. So
Congrats.
I'm jealous. No, it's not a congrats. It fucked me for, it fucked me. I'm jealous of you. I'm jealous of you. You don't ride an elevator for the music or pick an airline for the movies. Well, maybe you do, Tommy, but most people don't. So when it comes to audio entertainment, it makes sense to choose Audible. It's the home for stories told by the biggest stars, like Ethan Hawke, Kerry Washington, and Kevin Hart. It's home to epic adventures, chilling mysteries, and can't-miss comedies. Audible is the home of storytelling. Let your imagination soar with audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. You know what I love most about Audible? No matter where I am, I can just escape to my favorite stories. Whether it's an epic journey to outer space or the epic journey to your best self, Audible has you covered.
Audible is the home of storytelling with all your audio entertainment in one app. Find the best of what you love or something new to discover. Audible is an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, from bestsellers and new releases to celebrity memoirs, mysteries and thrillers, motivation, wellness, business, and more.
As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. Members also get full access to a growing selection of included audiobooks, Audible originals, and podcasts. You can download or stream our included titles all you want. I'm currently listening to What We Owe the Future, and it's a fantastic listen. Let Audible help you discover new ways to laugh, be inspired, or be entertained. New members can try it free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/oldman or text oldman to 500500. That's audible.com/oldman or text oldman to 500500 to try Audible free for 30 days. Audible.com/oldman. All right, so you go to Colorado, you kill your first team all Pac-10, you're all defense.
Pac-12.
I'm sorry, Pac-12. Yeah. I grew up in the 90s, man. I grew up in the 90s.
We're the two that got added, so.
Oh, that's right. That's right. By the way, Deion Sanders is going to Colorado.
Well, that's big time. That is big time.
Pretty big pickup.
Bring the Buffs back. Bring the Buffs back.
Excuse me, Pac-12, all Pac-12. Going into the draft, you had a pretty good idea that you would be a first-round pick. You did not. No.
Well, my at the time of the draft, they gave me a range of 25 to 40. Okay. So kind of knew around that area. But I was hoping I would sneak into the first round.
Did you care about where you were drafted in terms of team, or did you just want to hear your name called?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear my name called. I didn't really care about a team. I can't really be too picky, I felt like. So I was just like, if any team wanted me, I would love to go there and just start my career wherever it was at. So, I'm thankful I started in San Antonio, but I would have went anywhere.
Yeah. What did that moment mean for you?
It was surreal. I just had a little family party in Colorado. Had a bunch of loved ones there, and the Spurs pick came around, and Coach Boyle was in the back, and he said, "This is you right here." And I'm like, "All right, we'll see." But got a phone call from my agent, and then RC called me, and just to hear RC, you just hear all the stories about RC and Pop, and just to have them call you, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I'm just a kid from Parker. There's no chance that I should be in the NBA, but
boom, there it is. That's imposter syndrome.
But I was just super thankful and blessed to have all the people that were there supporting me, that pushed me throughout the ups, the downs, whatever it might be. So I was just happy and thankful, really.
Was there anything particularly special about a team with a pedigree like that you just grow up watching win finals after finals, being the first team that you end up on?
Yeah, Spurs have a long line history of developing players. I felt like my style fit with what they do there, and I feel like I could be successful there. So, obviously, to get drafted by arguably who I think is the greatest coach of all time is a blessing, and I couldn't wait to get to San Antonio and learn from him.
Tell me about Pop. Tell me about the experience of playing with Pop. You mentioned the development part. I think that's something the Spurs do particularly well. They use the G League. But him as a coach and being able to sort of gain his trust, that process, what's that like?
Yeah, it's a grind. I mean, obviously my rookie year, I spent most of the year in the G League, which I was fine with because it got me a chance to play. I mean, we had a lot of vets on the team. We had a lot of known guys that have been playing for a while. So just getting down there and playing in the G League, and then just having him paying attention to what you're doing down there. It's not like you went down there and he forgot about you and doesn't care about you. Like, I would come back up and he would be talking to me about it, and just let me know that they're still supporting me. And then that second year is really when I got my chance to play. DeJounte went down with the ACL, and I kind of just got thrown into it. He's like, "You got no other options. You got to go." And so I just kind of thrown into the fire, and just trying to learn on the fly. I mean, his big thing with me was telling me that I belonged and to prove to myself that I belonged. So every other day, like, he would come up to me and be like, "Hey, you belong here." So just having someone like that believe in you and trust in you, it meant a lot.
Did you have a specific game or moment in practice, something where you felt yourself that you belonged?
Um, I mean, there's a specific game where I felt like I didn't belong.
Thought you were that too.
Which game was that?
We played the Clippers. It was like November 19th, 18, because Chip England put it in my locker. It was like, "This is the game that's going to turn your career around." Like, we've all had lows like that. So, I mean, I think it was like the third quarter or something. Like, I just turned it over like 3 straight times, never went back in the game. Like, I had just came back from an injury, so I was just like, I hadn't really made a name for myself yet, so I was just like kind of down. And Chip was like, "This is going to turn your career around, and you're just going to use this as motivation to never feel like this again." So he put that date in my locker, and just ever since then, I just try to stay upbeat, learn from that mistake, and just get better from it.
I feel like that moment is probably one of many moments you've had, and one of many moments you have yet to have. I feel like it's just the plight of a sportsman. And I went through that so many times in my career. My oldest, who you met earlier, Knox, got really into basketball. He's obsessed. He's probably watching your YouTube highlights right now as we speak. He's probably right above us watching your YouTube highlights. And he's starting to play, and he's starting to play on a more competitive team. He was doing like a rec league this fall, and now he's playing on a more competitive team, better players. He had a particularly bad practice on Friday, and he was very frustrated afterwards. And as a dad, of course, that hurts. But one of the things I told him was like, as long as you play basketball, you're going to feel this every week, every month, every year. Have you found that? Like, I know you that game sticks out in your memory, partially because of what Chip did. Chip's the man, like partially because of that. But I just feel like as a professional athlete, like, it's not this linear trajectory. There's just so many peaks and valleys.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Chip always said basketball is a humbling game. No matter how good you think you are, there'll be someday like it's gonna humble you. So I mean, I think that's just the beauty of the game. It's just there's ups, there's down, there's highs or lows. You got to just learn and grow from each one. And I mean, obviously that's the first one that sticks out mostly in my mind. But there's been many times where you're down. Whether you're not making shots, you're just not playing well, whatever it might be. So just trying to ride the wave, as my boy says back home, and just enjoy the whole thing.
You said Pop, in your opinion, and a lot of people would agree with you, greatest coach of all time. What is Pop's greatest strength?
I think he just knows how to communicate with people, knows how to connect with you on a deeper level. I mean, I always say that, I learned a lot on the court, but I've learned more off the court from my time in San Antonio. Just trying to realize that it's bigger than basketball, which is something he talks about all the time. And I mean, just pushes you to be a better person. So obviously he wants you to do things on the basketball court, but I mean, it is a job at the end of the day, and he just wants you to be a great person, which is really the important thing.
Yeah.
What was when you scored 36 against Denver in the playoffs in 2018? What was your sort of initial feeling while it was happening? And then, I mean, you've had a lot of these moments. You were talking about the draft, obviously, but was that a moment for you where you're like, "Oh yeah, I was the kid who none of these schools would recruit, and now I just scored 36 points in an NBA playoff game." Was that a particularly high sort of moment there?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that whole series was a big. Well, at least the beginning of the series was big for me because I mean that's the hometown team. I mean, grew up watching them. Um, Dreamed of being on the court, and so game one, I was just like, "Well, this is the playoffs. This is the NBA playoffs. Like I'm playing my home team. I got all my friends, I got all my family in their stands, and then obviously game three, I don't know, I was just locked in from the beginning. I always wanted to be in attack mode, um, try to put pressure on their defense, and I mean I got off to a great start in the first half, and just tried to stay in that attack mode the whole time. And I know it was a crazy feeling. I mean, my parents had just flown in from Colorado to be at the game, and so I just wanted to go and put on a show for them.
To Tommy's question about when you felt you belonged as an outside observer, having played against you and knowing how good you were, that series for me was like, oh no, that motherfucker can play. Like that was for me at least. That's when I became a fan. Not just that game. I just thought the way you played your position that game or that series against a really good team, like you just handled it well. And I think the poise, all that stuff was phenomenal. We love trade deadline stories on the Old Men and the Three. Anybody who's been traded, I've been traded twice, has good ones. What's your trade deadline story from last year?
We are in Atlanta. We had just played Cleveland the night before, so we're in Atlanta now, and I mean just a regular day for me. I'm texting my boys, yeah, and the trade deadline's crazy, but there's no way I'm getting traded this year. Um, my boy Drew Eubanks just got traded to Toronto, so I'm lifting, and he's in there with me lifting. So I'm like, man, how is it to get traded? Like, what's next? Like, I'm trying to ask him, like, because my first 4 years we had made no deals at the deadline, so like I knew it was a thing, but like I just had never witnessed it personally during the season at least. So um, I'm just asking him like, yeah, what's next? What next? So then I go back to my room, shower, chilling, and then I get a call from Pop, and he's like, "What room number are you in?" I'm like, so I tell him my room number, and I tell him the wrong number.
On purpose?
No, I told him the number, and then I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, "That is not my room number." And so I had to call him back real quick. So luckily, I called him before he got to the door. Someone would have got some random person would have been knocking, like just Pop. But I called him and told him the right room number. And then he comes into the room and just like, "We traded you." That's all he said at first, and I'm just, "Where? Like, you gonna tell me what's next?" And then he's like, "Yeah, we traded you to Boston. I think it'll be a great fit for you. We get some picks back, but I think it'll just be good for you and your career. There's a bunch of people in Boston that you already know." And so I was just like, my mom started going crazy. What's next? Like, it's really the question I'm asking. So trying to figure it all out. My wife's pregnant. Like, I'm trying to figure that out at the time too. So my mind's just going crazy, and I'm just sitting in that room in Atlanta like, what do I do? And so sitting there for a while, and then like people start coming by your room, knocking on your door, like talking to you for a little bit. And then they're like, "All right, we're gonna try to put you on this flight. It's at like 9 o'clock to Boston." And I'm like, okay, like I don't even know what to do. So I just got on the flight, go to Boston, and I was there.
The 24 to 48 hours after the trade, it's such a whirlwind. I mean, when I got traded from Orlando to Milwaukee, we were on the road just like that. We were actually waiting outside the plane, and everybody starts getting off the bus, and Jacques Vaughn holds a few of us back. And we just sat there till 3 p.m. Eastern time, just waiting. And there's like so many emotions that happen, especially for a team that drafts you. And then you start getting calls from somebody from, for me, it was somebody from the Bucks, somebody from the Mavs. And you're just mind's racing. And then on top of that, of course, you are expecting a child with your wife. Like, that's a whole nother element of it. I want to say one thing real quick, because in defense of the room number thing, that's a common thing in the NBA. I mean, how many times have you gotten back from shoot around and gotten to the elevator and been like, oh, fuck.
What floor am I on? What floor is it this time?
Yeah, you're in a lot of hotels.
We're in a lot of hotels in a short amount of time.
I never know my number. I just kind of know the area of.
I would do it by memory. Yeah, I would do it by memory.
I just hope I know the floor and then just try to figure it out from there.
I know I was in 628 in Denver, and I was in 713 in Portland. I think I'm on the 8th floor this time. The Spurs, by the way, are notorious for not making trade deadline trades. They rarely do things during the season.
I think that was the first time.
Yeah. I'm blaming Adam Glessner, by the way.
15 years.
I'm blaming Adam Glessner. Adam Glessner's the reason you got traded.
I appreciate it.
I just want to put that
blame
on
him. Put it all on him.
What was your perception of that Boston team last year before the trade?
Talented. I mean, I always knew they were talented. Obviously, having JT, JB, Smart, like I always knew they were talented, but I always thought they were missing something. I don't know. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I mean, we had played them like a month or so earlier, and beat them in Boston. And I don't know, for some reason, I was like, I think I would be a pretty good fit there in Boston. Obviously, I didn't think I'd ever be there, not for another like couple of years at least. So I just felt like I would be a good fit for the team, just with my demeanor and how I play. So when I did find out I got traded to Boston, I was like, okay, I think this could be a good thing for me in my career.
Can you speak to, we kind of touched on the off-court challenges and the personal challenges of getting traded midseason. But on the court, there are real challenges. And I think oftentimes out-of-season trades are totally different, because you get a full training camp. You maybe get some time in September. Maybe you're working out with guys in the summer. There's like this acclimation ramp before the season. Then you start playing real games together. There's something that's very disruptive, not only to your own life, but to the other team, I think, to the team you're going to, about just coming midseason. There's this perception of like, oh, we're getting the best version of this player. But the best version of that player was in a totally different situation with different teammates and got a full training camp. So can you just speak to that challenge, the on-the-court challenge that you had last year?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I come in and that next day, we have shoot-around. We have Denver that night, and I'm meeting, feel like 1 million people. Everybody just coming up to me is like, hey, I'm this, I'm so-and-so, I'm so I do this, I do that. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to remember any of this. And then that's just, like, there's just so many people in the building that you're just meeting that are just running around. And then you're trying to figure out the plays. You're trying to figure out how things are done here, because every team does something a little bit different. So my mind's just racing. I mean, off the court, my mind's racing. On the court, my mind's racing. And I'm just trying to fit in, I say. Like, you don't want to really step on any toes. So you don't really know anything. And then they're like, yo, I'll just play your game. And you're like, well, I'm trying to, but it's not as easy as that sounds. So just trying to fit in. When you're doing that, you're not really playing the way you're supposed to. So that's why I felt like last year, my whole year was just kind of like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's 2 games specifically that I wanted to talk to you about during that finals run. The first one is Game 6 in Milwaukee. You guys are down 3-2. Jayson goes for 46. It's one of the best playoff performances I've seen. In person, his teammate. What did you see from him that night?
He was just on another level. I mean, we go down we lose 3-2 in a tough loss at home. and we just kind of never wavered like in our confidence. And I think it's because of JT, like his just steady demeanor. And he just came from the jump. It just was like, yeah, we're not losing this game. I mean, they got Wes Matthews on them, Drew Holiday, like good defenders in the league and physical, like trying to wear him down. It just didn't matter what they did to him. And I mean, he was a monster that game. And I mean, he's had a lot of really good games since I've been in Boston. But like you said, that might be one of the best ones he's played, especially with how everything was going
with the stakes. That game reminded my last year. I was not playing, but the Mavs Clippers series. We were up 3-2 in Dallas, and this was during the year when we started out with no fans, then we got some fans. Well, Dallas is in Texas, so they didn't give a fuck. So there was 22,000 people in the arena. When we went to LA, there was like 8,000 people and cardboard cutouts of people in the stands.
Yeah.
You know, it was a totally different atmosphere. But Game 6 in Dallas, Kawhi goes for, I think he had 44 on 18 of 25 shooting. He made every single shot down the stretch of the fourth quarter. He was like a robot. And that Tatum game reminded me of that. Like backs against the wall. It's like, I'm refusing to let my team lose tonight. This year for Tatum, he made a jump last year from a star to a superstar, first team All-NBA, MVP candidate. He's probably the leading MVP candidate right now this season. What have you seen from him this season that is different?
I mean, he just locked in, kind of just allowing our spacing to let him unlock that new level in his game. I mean, he's so talented that I feel like he could do anything he want on the court. Finishing around the hoop, I feel like a lot better this year. I think he added a little bit better floater and stuff like that, which has really unlocked all the rest of his game. So, I mean, every year I feel like he's gotten better. I mean, we're the same draft class, so every year he's improved something, whether it's threes or whatever it might be. So, just finding new ways to score, new ways to impact winning. I mean, he does it on both ends of the floor, and it just makes it easier for me and the rest of the guys just to have freedom, have space, and have that creativity to do what we want to do and still get his numbers, and all he cares about is winning. So that's really, it's cool to play for a guy that don't care about his numbers, even though he's putting up ridiculous numbers. Who just wants to win.
You guys have so many weapons on this current team. How do you know when it's sort of like get him the ball and get out of the way?
I mean, if you're the best player, the ball's gonna find you. And I mean, he hits a couple, you just know just to get it to him, get out the way, and just finding different ways to get him the ball, get him different looks, get some freedom, some space, because I mean, a lot of teams try to be really physical with him. So just trying to find different ways to get him that space, to get him that freedom to do what he does best.
Quick story, real quick. I don't know if I've talked about this before, Tommy. You know this. So the Ime thing happens. That's like on a Thursday. And I happened to be going up to Boston that weekend to see a high school friend. I was taking my kids up. My wife was on a wellness retreat somewhere in Malibu. So I was taking my kids up to Boston to see a high school best friend. And the Ime thing happens. So one thing leads to another. Sunday morning of that weekend, I'm playing golf with Joe, talking about joining your staff. And I was just so impressed by him. I spent 4.5 hours with him. He has done a remarkable job for where you guys were coming off that, the pressure, the situation with Ime. Like, he has stepped in, and it seems like it's been pretty seamless, particularly the improvement on offense. And you mentioned the spacing. What is it specifically with Joe that is different this year that has allowed you guys to generate so many open looks?
Yeah, I mean, Joe's he's a great guy. I mean, he was there with us last year, and like I used to always have to go to him and go over like the defensive clips, and like he was kind of like Will Hardy described him as a defensive guru to me. So like I just got that foundation of like beating him there. But then when he moved into the interim head coaching role, I mean, he just kind of did it seamlessly. He knew all the guys. He knew what we've done before. He knew what we wanted to do, and kind of just held us to that standard. And we've all raised leveled up to the standard that he's held us to. And I mean, offensively, it's just all about spacing. I mean, he's a big soccer fan, so he takes a lot of things from soccer and try to create advantages and keep advantages is what we talk about a lot. So just trying to get that space, whether it's getting space for JT or JB, setting screens, moving, just random creativity. And I think we've all just bought into that style and just having fun with it because it could be anybody, any given night.
Right. I mean, that style is currently the best offense in league history. And you guys, number 2 in 3-point attempts, number 1 in 3-point percentage as of this recording. You in particular are shooting the shit out of the ball. Way better than your career norms. Did you slightly alter your form?
Yeah, I changed it a little bit. I was trying to just focus on getting better arc. I mean, my time in San Antonio, Chip was working with my shot a lot, so just using a lot of what he taught me back then. And then when I went back to Colorado with Marcus, just trying to be consistent with the reps. Like sometimes I'd shoot it one way, and the next time I shoot a different way, which was creating that inconsistency. And so I was just trying to focus on being consistent with the shot and just getting the arc and staying in the shot because I was always lean back and fade away. I mean, I've done that since I was young. So just staying in my shot and just having the confidence in every shot. I think that's sometimes it's up and down like that last year too. So just having confidence in that shot and trust that if I take it, it's going to be a good look. Like, 'cause I don't really take bad shots like that. So, and then just have the confidence it's going to go in.
Yeah. Tommy, I'm going to let you jump in here real quick. I just want to point out one thing. I may have talked about a no-hitter just now because Derrick's on a burner, 45% from 3. So if you have a shooting slump,
We're going to hear about it.
I
It's
will
gonna come back on, and it's going to be a problem.
It's my fucking fault.
I'm not going to let that happen.
What is in terms of starting versus coming off the bench, is your preparation any different? Does it feel, you've done everything in your career, but like in this particular setting, you guys are so deep. Do you feel like you've had to change anything, or it's just kind of a seamless, whether you're starting or you're coming in second, it's good either way?
I mean, I've started most of my career, and so like there's always a little comfort level with starting, but just coming off the bench last year and just kind of learning like what I need to do to get ready for that. So I feel like I can do either one right now. With Rob coming back and everything, I feel like it's gonna happen. I can start one day and come off the bench, so I just let them know like whatever you want, like I'm fine with it. I'm gonna come in and play the same way. I feel like it doesn't matter if I'm starting or I come off the bench. It's not like have to play a different way. So just having that consistency of how I have to play and just the same mindset going into the game has made it easier for me.
I'm shocked that he said that, Tommy. Derrick just strikes me as a guy who would go to Brad and Joe and just say, "No, I'm fucking starting. You just
Trade me.
trade me now.
Start me or trade me.
Start me or trade me." The other game I wanted to get your thoughts on during that finals run was Game 4 against the Warriors. We recently had Steph on the podcast, and he talked about that game specifically. He called it his favorite game of his career, and I wanted to get your perspective. And I don't mean to bring up a bad night, but your perspective on the other side of playing against that and witnessing that live in person in a hostile environment in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, Steph was special. Especially the whole series, but especially that game, just trying to will them to that victory. I mean, we win that game. I think we win the series for sure. But I just think we were winning the whole game, leading, doing what we needed to do, and then just having those couple moments at the end of the game that cost us it. Kind of just, I wouldn't say broke us, but it like we never really bounced back from that. And so, I mean, obviously Steph was special that game. I mean, I was impressed, not impressed, but like his consistency through the whole finals was impressive to me. And like, he's been on that stage. He's done that before, and none of us had ever done that before, or been on that stage before. So that experience, that familiarity that they had, I think was a big advantage for them, and something that we all learned from. I think we all grew from. That's kind of why we started the way we started, and um, chasing him over screens and having him give it up and still chasing, and he did that the whole series. And I mean, it kind of opened my eyes to like I need to work on things that I need to work on to have that level of consistency as well.
I think this is not. I'm not saying this about the Celtics in specifically, but I think there's an element with Steph. We've talked to a number of guys that have guarded him, and I didn't have to guard him a ton, but certainly on a switch, I'm chasing him or I'm getting ISO'd, blown by. I got blown by a few times in ISO against Steph. There's an element of like, all right, we're going to put multiple bodies on him. We're gonna we're gonna chase him. We're gonna be physical. We're gonna wear him down. And it seems like at this point in his career, with his conditioning and how he's changed his body and his strength, it's almost like, nah, he's wearing you down.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'd be interesting. Just you mentioned just the chasing part, but for our listeners, our viewers on YouTube, the challenge of guarding him specifically, like what are they? What makes him so different?
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about doing the same thing. Like that was the game plan. And I mean, it's just 48 minutes of where is Steph? Like you got to know where he is at all times, and just trying to find him on the court, make his life difficult. And so it's just that mental strain of where is he on the court? I mean, obviously, the way their offense is and the way he impacts the offense, like he has so much gravity that it kind of opens up other things for everybody else too. So just find Steph. Is he coming off a screen? Does he have the ball? Does he not have the ball? It's constant of paranoia, I guess, for lack of a better word, of like trying to limit him and just trying to find a way to slow him down.
That's one of the best descriptions that I've heard. Like there's a paranoia with Steph. You mentioned awareness, and I think that's one of the unique things about game planning for him. Like on a scouting report, you might have hot guys, right? These are the guys you got to run off the line. You might have an ISO guy. Here's how we're going to guard ISOs. Here's how we're going to guard post-ups. The Steph game plan is just like, he's him. Like he is him. You have to know where he is at all times because he can score in so many different ways and he moves so fucking much.
Yeah. Yeah. Just find him. Like that's the first thing you do. Like you miss a shot, you try to find Steph. I mean, best shooter the game has ever seen. Can shoot it from anywhere, off the dribble, off the catch. So that's just what makes him different than any person this game has ever seen. And obviously his conditioning and the way he moves without the ball and he gives it up. You gotta heighten up your awareness of him even more. So I mean, it was an intense 6 games of chasing him and just trying to find him and slow him down any way we could.
Marcus Smart is a friend of the show. Did a live show with him up in Boston last year. Maybe we'll do another one this year. Do you have any favorite Marcus stories or moments from your experience over the last year or so?
Marcus is the best. I mean, I knew him. I played USA with him, but kind of don't really know how good of a guy he is because he gets that perception of being what he's on the court.
An antagonist.
Yeah,
antagonist.
Exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. But he's just a great guy. I mean, gives back to the community, does a lot of different things for the Boston area. A story of Smart. I'm trying to think right now. There's a lot of crazy things, whether it's on the plane or in the hotel room before a game. I mean, he's always wearing a robe. Yeah, he's always wearing a robe. Like he got custom robes and everything, and he's just one of a kind.
He's the king. That's probably public that he always wears robes, but that's the first time I've heard it, and that just seems, I don't know, it seems very fitting.
When I first got there, I was like, "Why are you wearing a robe?" He walked in with like rain boots one time to the practice facility. I'm like, "It's not raining."
That's awesome.
You gotta love one of ones.
Why do you think? What do you think makes him so effective? I mean, both sides of the ball, really defensively. Like why? You're a great defensive player yourself. You play with a lot of great defensive players, but what do you think sort of allows him to sort of separate compared to the rest of the league?
I mean, physically, he can guard 1 through 5 with his strength, and like can guard the ball, obviously. But I think he's just one of the smarter defenders in the league. I mean, the way he could draw fouls, the way he is always in the right position, and then just that level of just diving for a loose ball that nobody else thinks is possible, but somehow, some way, he ends up getting it. So, I mean, I've seen so many times where like it's obvious that the team's gonna get it, and out of nowhere, Smart just dives, and I mean, I think they call it the Cobra Strike, and like he just finds a way to get it. So just those little 50-50 balls, those winning plays that you need on your team, he always finds a way to make them.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna start with flopping, but you went with physicality. I heard the sound and I was like, oh, he's going to go with flopping. Physicality.
No, he doesn't flop at all.
No. All those offensive fouls drawn, they're never flops. Actually, when we had him on the live show, we did a video compilation of all of his greatest flops.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite moments on the show.
It's great.
It's one of my favorite minute 3 months. Oh yeah, we took it easy on him. Yeah, we only showed 5 flops. I mean, they were so egregious, though. They were so egregious. Before we let you go, just some perspective on sort of where you guys are at right now. And I mentioned you guys are, as the day of this recording, you're 18-5, first in the NBA. But coming off that finals loss, the sort of the hunger, the mentality, and then having to deal with, the Ime situation, new coach. Where do you sort of put you guys right now in terms of mentality, growth, all that stuff?
Right now we're feeling good. I mean, obviously, we think there's a whole nother level that we can take it. Especially defensively, I feel like we haven't really reached what we were like last year, which is what we held our hat on last year was on the defensive end. So, right now our mentality is just to get back to that mindset, get back to the way we were last year with defending, and right now we're 1 on offense, but we want to get up there on defense as well. So we think there's just a whole lot more growth, and I think over the season it will just continue to get better and better once we really hit that stride. So and getting Rob back and everything will be huge for us. So we're really excited. We like what we got going on right now, and we understand it's a long journey, but we're in a good mindset right now.
I was going to follow up. We talk a lot with different guys about just knowing your role, and teams where the players know the role and everything like that. We didn't talk much in this ep about like Al, for example, or even like Hauser. This year who's sort of been crazy.
Hauser's Tommy's guy.
He's awesome.
He's your guy.
He's awesome.
Tommy picks like 5 players every year. He's on a big Hauser kick. He's on a big Aaron Gordon kick.
He's such a hater for no reason.
Aaron Gordon.
Who would not be a Hauser guy? But I just but take those 2 out of it. I think this fits for the whole team. It feels like so far, everybody has figured out how to carve out their own lane and kind of stick to that, and that's clearly not the case around the league with every team. Is there like a common thread, or is there a glue that allows that to be so simple for you guys?
I just think that, we basically have 5 guys out there that can shoot, pass, and like create a play. So just trusting. We talk about love and trust a lot. So just trusting that if you make the right play, like kick the ball across, it's going to come back and find you. They show film clips of that all the time. It's like the person that started with the kick ahead ends up with the wide open 3. So just having that trust that if you make the right play, that next person is going to make the right play as well, and you're going to end up benefiting from it. So, I mean, Al's amazing. He's just a constant professional, always doing what he needs to do, and kind of all just go from there. And Sam's the GOAT. He can shoot it. He can shoot it.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. I feel like that speech needs to be told to Knox's. I'm going to get ready to go watch Knox's first real game with this. Like, it's like a traveling team, not quite AAU, but they have a game uptown later today. And I wish every young basketball player, and probably pros need to hear this too, is like trusting that when you make the right play, it'll come back around to you. Actually, Steph had a great quote recently, not to bring Steph up again, but he had a great quote. I only did this because I was in my pregame notes when I did the game Friday night. And he talked about trust in the chaos. Like, the game is chaotic. And you're forced to make a lot of split-second decisions. So if you sort of trust that in the chaos, by making the right play, it's going to come back around to you, to me, that's what basketball is. That's good basketball, right? Instead of, I'm going to force an agenda tonight. You know, sometimes great players have to do that, especially down the stretch. But I just love that thought of trust. Derrick, you've been awesome, man. This has been a real pleasure for us. Thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, let's get to the draft with Mina Kimes. All right, let's welcome in one of the OG drafters, Mina Kimes. Mina, we have not had you on the show in so long. Thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be here. It's been a minute. I like the draft we're doing today.
Yeah, I also like the draft. This draft, actually, I was thinking about this before when we decided on this topic, and I thought to myself, this could go a number of ways, and it's very possible one of us gets canceled after this draft.
Yeah, I'd say likely.
And my likeliest pick is Tommy.
That would be a good selection for the draft. Ironically, cancel culture. Now people are like, what is this draft?
Oh, wow.
Don't talk about your draft experiences.
Oh, God.
We are coworkers at ESPN, and because we have to do this all the time, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give me, if you had to say right now, we're finishing up week 13 tonight, Monday Night Football. If you had to give me your Super Bowl predictions, the two teams in the Super Bowl, who you got?
I'm going to go, this is pretty, I don't know if it's chalky, actually. The line's moved a lot because a lot of crazy stuff's happened in the NFL, but I'm going to go Chiefs-Eagles right now. I think they're the two best teams in football. I know the Chiefs just lost. I am a Bengals respecter, but I just looking at the body of work over the course of the season and where I think things are going, I think those two teams, those two quarterbacks, those two coaches are just at the top of their game.
You know why I would love a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl? Tommy, you'll co-sign this as well. We need a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl for the simple fact of the content that we're going to get out of Travis and Jason's podcast.
Yeah, we might go. We might go just for that, just to be in the entourage.
Yeah, no, that's good. Also, the content we would get out of Eagles fans. I mean, I can say this because my in-laws are Eagles fans. They are batshit. Like not my in-laws. Yeah. Wow, another thing. Maybe I should draft. Well, anyways, I'm not spoiling the draft. Yeah, no, Eagles fans are great. They are amongst my favorite fan bases in the NFL. I went to the Super Bowl in Minnesota. They won. I had a great time. I would love to see them return.
Mina, who do you think the second best quarterback in the NFL is after Justin Fields?
I gotta go with Mahomes after Fields. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. You're flying high right now.
I'm flying high. We're the second worst team in football, but we got a quarterback finally. We also have to talk about Russell Wilson before we draft.
Oh wow.
Hold
on a second. I would actually prefer that any talk of Russell Wilson is saved for the draft.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't want to spoil my draft picks, but it might be on my list.
Fair enough.
It's definitely made my board. All right.
Wow.
Here is today's draft topic. Things not to bring up with family during the holidays. Mina, as always, our guest starts us off. First round pick. What do you got?
Okay, well, I want to just make sure I understand correctly. Like things you personally don't enjoy talking about with your family members, right? Like this is not about not wanting to offend my family members. It's about me, the person, things I don't want to have a conversation about. And we're talking family, extended family. Okay, so we're all in agreement.
Even a friend's giving, a friend's Christmas. Like this is just something, and this is why I say it could go a number of ways.
It's an overall. Don't bring this up at Christmas dinner. Don't bring it up. When everyone's around the table in any capacity. That's it.
Okay, I think the easy number one overall pick is conspiracy theories. That's a pretty big catch-all for a lot of things in society right now. For me, it's not even like I don't want to listen to someone who believes in conspiracy theories, although obviously you don't. I don't even want to talk about them. I don't like it's right now. I am so tired of hearing about conspiracy theories. People who believe in them generally can't be reasoned with. That's not a conversation I want to have. It's not interesting to me. It's actually quite boring. So I would like to avoid conspiracy theories altogether.
It's a great pick. And I agree with you. I think there's time better spent, especially if you're with people maybe that you don't get to see all that often, right? Let's spend our time talking about something else. The problem with that pick, though, is that now there's like 5 things that Tommy and I are going to have a hard time picking because you just kind of like enveloped everything.
Problem with or brilliant. Brilliant.
So I said it's a great pick. All right, Tommy, you're up.
I got to take Kanye off the board. I just don't think, for a bunch of reasons, I don't think it's a good topic of conversation. And Jason and I were talking about this before you guys got on. Unfortunately, hopefully this doesn't happen with our listeners or viewers or whatever, but some people have people in their family who might say shit about this topic that you don't want to hear. And so it's just a great stay away. It's like he did it. He did his thing. We never hopefully have to talk about him again. That's it.
I feel like that topic too, it's very specific. It's a very specific pick that you just made, but that topic could delve into a plethora of minefields.
Yes.
It's a topic that we should all maybe stay away from.
Yes.
Just so you know, I have a theme for my draft, and my draft choices are all going to be very personal to me. They're going to be very personal to me. So my first pick of things that I don't want brought up with family during the holidays is Bob Cousy. We'll take Bob Cousy off the board.
Man.
And the second pick is the Tyrese Halliburton trade. I'd like to not talk about the Tyrese Halliburton Kings Pacers trade.
This is just funny because it's like JJ's getting heckled for specific comments.
Yeah, you're just choosing things. This is not even about your family. These are just things you don't want anyone to talk about ever around you.
I don't know why we have to keep talking about these things. That's all.
This is like, on Twitter, how I have muted words. If we could do muted words in real life and apply it generally to society, I don't even know what mine would be in response to that. Maybe like, I never want to hear about Jeff Garcia. I don't know. That's a little personal.
Also, because Mina, you're going to maybe disagree with this, but you really don't have haters. Mina has 100% approval rating. JJ has a lot of haters. JJ, sometimes he brings it on himself, but he has a lot of haters. I've
had haters from the start, Tommy. I've had haters from the start.
I have so many haters. Are you kidding me? Wow.
Wait, who are your biggest haters? I feel like everyone loves you.
Oh my God.
Go to the comments section, Tommy.
Yeah, go to the comments section.
All right, that doesn't count.
Any first take video.
That doesn't count. I'm not talking about idiots commenting under YouTube videos. I'm talking about JJ has fan bases that hate him, which is not fair, but they do. And then you eventually make up with them and they don't hate you forever. So it's fine.
I have a few. Okay. Is this to be Snake or I forget?
Yeah, I'm second.
Yeah, right. Oh, because he had 2, right? Yeah.
So I think this actually, for different reasons, would have been a good pick last year for this topic too, but I'm taking Bitcoin. Now it's just
on my list.
Yeah, now it's just depressing. It was annoying before. It was people who thought they were experts about it who actually didn't know what they were talking about, who were just constantly talking about, Ethereum and blah, 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 and all this different stuff. Now it's just like, it's such a sad sack topic that it's a great stay away. There's no positive that could come from it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that was on my list. So I'm not going to lie. That was on my list. Okay. Now I get 2, right? All right. This is my second overall pick. I had conspiracy theories for number 1. My second overall pick is analytics. Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. I don't want to try to explain to you what win probability is. I don't want to talk about fourth down decision making. I don't want to get into it. Because here's the thing. If it's in this family context, the person I'm talking to generally already has their mind made up. So I don't want to be disagreed with loudly. This is not, it's almost like in the same bucket as conspiracy theories where I don't feel like I can reason with people generally, I've found. So analytics is my second.
I'm gonna interject here real quick, Mina, because I love that pick so much. And that, honestly, there's a part of me when someone gives me a sports take that I feel is just so off base, because the numbers, and they're, everybody's like, I'm an eye test guy, I'm a number. And it's like, no, dude, you need both. And trying to explain analytics to people can be just like banging your head against a wall. And they're just like, yeah, but, and I'm like, no. We did a whole thing today on our Old Man and the Three Things, our weekly exclusive episode for Amazon Music, about shooting and offense. And there are probably people out there that are like, no, it's the death of the mid-range. I wish post-ups and mid-rangers were back. And I'm like, okay, do you want your team to have a 90 offensive rating? Right. Because every time those plays happen, that's what
it's just reality. It's just reality at a certain point.
It's just math.
I mean, it's just math, but it's so scary. In football, it often takes the guys of fourth down decision making, which is, the discourse on that is so poisoned because it's only talked about on TV when it doesn't work, literally only. And I mean, there's all kinds of logical fallacies at play, but like it's an impossible subject for sports television, because to talk about it similarly to what you're talking about, you have to take a step back and look at a larger sample size and talk about process, which is just not conducive to sports television or conversation with somebody's uncle. So, okay. Actually, maybe I'll do another. No, I'm going to do it. I'll save my sports ones for later. Okay. This is another personal one. This is like, I was trying to think of things that I don't like talking about with my parents. A childhood friend I haven't seen in 20 plus years. It's just,
I agree with you.
Sarah. No, yeah. I don't know. And it happens every holidays. I'm not in touch with anyone pre-2000.
There's not much to say.
Nothing. I got nothing.
Anyone who you're Facebook friends with, you know nothing about.
Nothing. I got nothing. I have no status updates on this person.
Tommy, you're on Facebook?
I actually think I deactivated it.
Okay.
But I realized that everybody, not counting family and people I went to high school with and things like that, everyone I was friends with exclusively on Facebook did not make the transition over. So if I go and look at my thing now, I have no idea where anybody is if I were to like reactivate.
Right.
Yeah, I'm big on Facebook.
Big Facebook guy.
Facebook.
All right, I'm third pick. This probably could have been higher. Ex spouses.
Or exes generally.
Exes. I think just exes generally, but I think ex spouses in particular. It's like if you ask about someone's, ex girlfriend they dated for 8 months or something like that, that is what it is. But if you ever ask about the ex wife or anything like that, it's not fun. And it could.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys just picked basically the same thing in some ways.
No,
the last two picks are very similar.
Those things are not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
They're actually.
I feel like they're reflecting different emotions. Your emotion is like
completely different,
and mine is like boredom. Like I don't want to talk about Jessica H.
No,
so you're like this is awkward.
And I totally agree, because like if Mina is asked about her friend from 20 years ago, she literally has no idea. So she just goes blank because she has nothing to say. Oftentimes, exactly what your ex-wife or your ex-husband is up to, but it doesn't make you feel good. Because you've been
Googling them.
Yeah, but it's like you feel good to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to
follow them.
So you don't want to talk about it. So it's a different emotion.
Okay. Well, all right. We're in very different stages of our life though, Tommy. That's the reality.
That's
like,
true.
For me, like if I'm talking about my ex-girlfriend, I'm talking about someone that was from like 18 years ago. You know what I mean? It's different.
I think this pick fits everybody. Maybe you are cool talking about it. I don't think anybody else wants to talk about their ex at their Christmas dinner or at their Thanksgiving dinner or whatever.
I'm going to take this one off the board with my third round pick. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos offense off the board.
Stupid. One of my picks was question. What happened to Russell Wilson? Because that is the number one thing people say, whether it's an Uber driver, a relative, a colleague, typically a colleague who covers another sport. That is the first thing people ask me when they see me now.
Yeah, well, I knew something along those lines was going to be on your board. I just had to steal your pick.
Let me ask you a question, Mina. My counter to that would be, don't you think Seattle people would love to talk about Russell Wilson right now?
Yes, they are going to want to talk about it to me, but I don't want to talk about it because I could just put football, honestly. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't know if you guys feel like.
Don't take work home.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm trying to think about a way to sound this. It doesn't sound bad. It's just like, people want to share their opinions with you and you don't really want to like, I'm sorry. Do you like talking?
I think it's just a natural
You're really
thing
dancing around.
People ask me about basketball and now I was going to ask you too. It's like, I get a lot of questions about the podcast or ESPN, like even my parents, God bless them. They're very adamant right now that they get my ESPN game schedule. What games are you calling? That was an hour of conversation at Thanksgiving, so nice. All right. My fourth round pick, I'm going to actually along the same lines of analytics. I'm going to pick drop coverage. I don't want to talk about drop coverage at Christmas.
This is really complaining.
It would just be objective. This is just objectively funny to witness you have to dodge these specific questions.
It's like, dude, when Jokic is at the level, offenses are scoring 0.79 points per possession. When he's in drop coverage, they're scoring over a point per possession. It's like, come on, man. He needs to be up. I don't want to talk about drop coverage.
I like it. It's a good pick. It's a good pick. All right, my fourth pick is actually not relevant to me in my current stage of life, but I think is a thing that is a bad topic of conversation, maybe for listeners or other people, reviewers, or whatever, people who are at this age, is don't talk about where people in high school are going to college. It's like a horrible conversation because nobody ever wants to have that conversation. They don't even want to have it one-on-one, but they definitely don't want to have it in any sort of like group setting. And it's almost borderline rude to bring it up, even if the answer is good.
Is it?
I feel like this is here's the thing, Tommy. I've known you, I think, since 2016. I want to say we met in a parking lot in 2016.
15.
It was 15. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have been peeling back your onion for so long. And what you just said was maybe the most information that I've ever got. Like, I just learned so much about you. I'm just picturing
I had no issue myself talking about
Tommy, where'd you go to college?
I went to JW and DC. I had no issue talking about myself. I'm saying it sucks for most people.
Right.
Wait, where'd your sister go to college?
I don't want to talk about that.
No, I'm just wondering.
I had two sisters. Oh, both my sisters went to Harvard. I was the only person in my family who did not go.
Interesting.
Interesting, Mina. It's very interesting.
I guess when you put it that way, it makes more sense. But I do think objectively, and I think, you guys are right. But I do think objectively,
oh my God,
JJ's experience was different, where it's like, JJ, where are you going to go to college? And it's like, oh, these 9 schools are recruiting me. I can pick any one of them. I can do this. It's like, most people don't have that experience. Most people are like, I got into one college. I didn't get in anywhere else.
You're right.
I might not like it. So
you're right.
This is the most that any of our listeners have learned about you. This last 3 minutes.
Some people, we don't need to name names. Some people maybe didn't get in the same school as their siblings. It's not a big deal, but you don't have to ask them about it. It's like,
you're right.
Totally, you're right.
I'm just standing up for our audience. I feel like it's not a nice thing to bring up. All right.
Okay. Wow. So I have my final two, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do a football one. There is a fan base who's very mad at me, and that's going to be the subject of this one. The topic is Tua Tagovailoa elite? Just don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. Dolphins fans have been on me all year long for not bowing to you guys are familiar with the Tuanon phenomena, perhaps.
Yeah.
You've seen
Why are they so mad, considering this has been such a short window of success?
That's a great question, Tommy. That's for you to ask, not for me, because I'm not talking about it because it's on my draft board.
If a football fan was in a coma and they woke up and been asleep for the last 3 months, they would agree with you. Like, it's not like he was doing this last year.
I think maybe you guys can speak to this. There's like a psychological phenomena where for some sections of fandom, actual success isn't as enjoyable as dunking on, the old takes, kind of like, for what it's worth, I don't feel like I was even that critical to it, but whatever. It's more pleasurable to say I was right or you were wrong than, hey, this is great, we're having fun, we're successful now. I don't know. Is there a fan base like that in the NBA where you feel like they're very like defensive or aggressive?
Many.
You afraid to name him?
Many.
You scared?
Many.
No, I'm going to harken back to a tweet that I wrote last week, and I'm going to stay silent. But yeah. I do agree with you that there is here. Tommy and I actually talked about this last week. I think there are certain fan bases in all sports, certain cities even, but in the NBA, there's some small market teams and they never get talked about. And so when they get talked about in a negative way, when their team does, rather, not the fan base, but their team, it's like they can't let it go. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, so so I got one more pick. Okay, I got a whole long list here. I had one that was going to be kind of, I thought that Jason Gallagher might take personally.
Pick it.
I feel like people will be too angry at me for that one.
Whoa. Now you have to pick it. Those are two reasons that should be taken off the board.
I don't want to do that one. All right. I'm going to go with Kanye is pretty. No. There's a lot of things I don't want to get yelled. No, I'll go with the one that I feel like Jason might be insulted by. Just like stories about your kids being funny. They're usually not funny.
Jason's gonna kill you. That was
I'll pretend like it's funny, but inside
that's not the right word.
Funny. Jason's in the group chat right now, heated.
Just dropping bombs in the 5th round.
I mean,
that's probably the best pick of the whole draft.
It's like a long story. It's like, and then my kid, and he went to school and he came home with a leaf, and the leaf was shaped like a pirate. And then we looked and he wasn't wearing his pants, and then he had the leaf. And I'm like, there's no plot. There's no narrative. There's no like traditional joke structure here. And then the punchline isn't really that funny.
Jason is now thinking back to every single meal and conversation you guys have ever had, and he's questioning everything.
Tell me, you're the fellow childless person here. Where are you at on this?
I'm completely with you.
Jason just wrote in the group chat, "When have I ever, in all caps, talked to you about my kid?"
I also like the fact that you did not bring JJ up at all in this. It was just Jason.
I don't think I've ever seen JJ do that. So he respects that people. I was talking to my friend Mike Golick Jr. about this, and he said children are like your real life fantasy team. Like, no one wants to hear about it. And I thought that was pretty apt. I mean, I want to hear about it. Like, I want updates, and I like kids. I just the stories that are supposed to be funny are usually not funny. That's all.
JJ talks about the kids' sports, but that's actually cool because they're really good. and when they're
I do. Now that Knox is playing basketball, I do talk about it a lot.
Like I mean, whatever, I'm biased. I find it cool because it's like, not to put whatever like when he's a professional in 10 years, we can be like, oh yeah, he called this on the pod back then. So it feels like everyone's getting like a little bit of a peek in the way in. So I don't know. I'm in favor of it. Mina's not, clearly.
I'm not putting pressure on my kid, but he better be a McDonald's All-American class in 2030.
No, Marcus Spears talks about his kids' athletic exploits constantly, and they're all bigger and stronger than me already. And I like hearing those stories as well, because stories about kids in sports are usually funny because of the way adults act around it, and that is amusing.
But the Leaf story, you're just not a Leaf.
You guys know, like, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Random meandering. Yeah. Just.
All right, Tommy.
I think my fifth pick is Twitter, like Elon Musk and Twitter. I think it's such an annoying conversation. Like everything around the last 3 weeks of it was so annoying when everybody, remember there was that night where everyone had like the eulogy and they were like, oh my God, these are the favorite tweets. And then nothing happened. I feel like Elon is definitely annoying and all his like sycophants are definitely annoying. But then the other side of it is annoying too. Like if you don't like it, just leave, but stop complaining about it all the time while complaining about it on the app that you're complaining about. And so I feel like that discussion is not a fun thing to talk about. And then also you're going to have at least half the table that has never been on Twitter and could give a fuck. And so they're going to zone out.
Huge. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's a good one, Tommy. It's probably actually that Bitcoin for me, the ex-spouses where people go to college is just.
That was my favorite one, personally. Yeah.
I like my draft. I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
I'm gonna keep it personal. I'm gonna keep it personal. I used
JJ's golf swing.
Yeah. No. I'll talk about that all day, Tommy. You know that. I'm going to go with the Foo Fighters. Fighters.
Yeah, he's such a hater. He hates the Foo Fighters.
They don't make good music. I love Dave Grohl is a legend, but like the Foo Fighters, there's not. Do you know a good Foo Fighter song?
That
one. Yeah, that one.
I just think Dave Grohl's so cool. Like, who cares whether they make good music or not?
I'm not a fan, but that's a pretty it's like a pretty unusual hate.
Well, here's the thing. I'm kind of bat signaling to Tommy here because he brings up the Foo Fighters quite a bit.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Our guy Ryan Cohen, by the way, shout out to Ryan, will be very excited with the return of the Old Man in 3 draft. I can't wait to see his write-up on Twitter. And like all drafts, he is the ultimate judge of who will win this draft. And I think we all put together a very good effort in a different way. Like I said, we could have gone very different ways in this. Mina, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And sorry to Jayson and all of the people who think their children are funny.